Alright, so I got this message last week, but I just didn't feel like recording it. Today seems like the day. So, the theme of this video is 10 seconds to midnight. Your amendment still leaves you in the red. And what I was getting was that there are groups and organizations who are attempting, and even solo people, who are attempting to make these smallest amendments, to make these smallest rights after wronging people, trying to save themselves from what is coming for them, what they know is coming. What they've been experiencing is a trickle of the waves that they know are going to be unleashed upon them very shortly. And I was getting that this actually becomes a certain thing once we enter the second phase of the biphase activation. So as those of us who were initiated in the first phase complete our initiation through the second phase, that's when they become solidified in the lower realms that they chose. The energy is presenting itself as they waited until the very last moment, or rather they believed that up until this point they were going to be able to accomplish their goals. However, we are now seconds until midnight and they recognize that, oh, that's not going to work. So what they did was they waited until the very last moment thinking that they were safe, and they're recognizing that they're not. They are getting bits of karma here and there, and their karma has been compiled. And I don't even want to describe it as karma, it's just what they have put out, they are receiving back because it couldn't remain where they sent it. Not to mention the things that they did were unjustified and undignified, and there is repayment for that. So now they're doing the littlest bits of things they can to try to make up for what they've done, but they're not even doing anything at their full capacity. They're not doing anything to genuinely make an amendment. Their heart, if they even have one, is not in the right place. So, seconds till midnight, they're trying to do all they can, which is the tiniest thing because they still don't want to let go of what they've been holding on to, but I'll get into that. They're doing the smallest things possible to try and get out of the red. And you know the thing about the red is you can descend into the red forever, like the dead zone. So they're all the way down here, the green is all the way up here. There's so much effort that they would need to do, and this is over years that they have been accumulating themselves deeper into the red zone. So they think that since the clock is running out now, they can just do this little thing here, this tiny thing here, and it's going to skyrocket them out of the red. If you were down here, you did this tiny thing, you barely moved up, you're still in the red. So it's almost like putting a piece of duct tape over a very large crack in a wall, in a dam wall. So they slap that duct tape on there and they're like, ah, yes, we've done it. We're safe. We fixed it. Only to turn around and take a few steps and they hear the crack grow. We have the second part of this eclipse. So we had the solar like last week, and then we have the lunar this week, at the end of this week. The second phase of this eclipse is coming up, and in between these eclipses represented a major testing point. And people are still being sorted into their rightful frequency. And today I actually woke up and I felt like I was back in my home frequency, which is probably why I actually wanted to get on here today, because I feel like I'm home in my frequency where I belong. I've been sorted back to where I belong. So we're continuing this sorting through this activation, and the eclipses are helping to usher in rapid change and rapid movement. So things that would have taken 6 months or more are being condensed into a week or even less. It's this rapidization that I was speaking about in another video, but this is genuinely the eclipse portal. To say that we can't change or shift in frequency, because that's always possible. Every decision we make is changing where we are. However, a lot of what has gone on over the last few years has been people bypassing. There has been this allowance of spiritual bypassing. So people were pushed under and other people were climbing on top of them and raising themselves up. Or they were throwing their dirt, their energetic grime on other people, which those people contained and sunk when they were supposed to rise. So there has been all of this bypassing energetically and spiritually, which was allowed for a time. However, it doesn't work anymore. And these people are so short sighted that they assumed that this was going to be something that was long lived and forever. It was only allowed for a short season so that people could learn lessons. So, as we're being sorted into our proper densities, these people are recognizing that they can't just shift their grime off onto anyone else. They have to keep it, and if they want it gone, they have to clean it up. So, as we're being placed in our rightful densities, our realities are reflecting that. And this sorting is already happening, but again, it's being rapidized. I don't even think that's the word. There's this rapidization of it through the eclipse window. So, the 2 weeks, 3 weeks of this eclipse window, there's this rapid shifting, rapid change, and rapid energetic growth or decay in some people's cases, because again, they push their stuff off onto other people. And that accumulated because these are people who they do so much. It's not like they just did this one time thing where it's like, okay, you're gonna hold my shit and I'm gonna go do this. They pushed it off, went and did more terrible things, pushed it off again, went and did more terrible things. So it has accumulated throughout time, throughout these years. And right before this biphase activation began, which was the beginning of this was in 2024, around spring, summer of 2024. Right before this began, people were given a choice point whether they wanted to continue down this path or they wanted to forsake that path and go down another route. They were given the opportunity to change trajectory before it became too late for them to do so. And I spoke about this before too, where the realm itself was not anticipating leaving anyone behind. There was actually not supposed to be anyone left behind. And you might be wondering, well, how would they not be left behind if they did so much bad? Everyone has a role to play here, and if they did not play their role, then the growth that was necessary wouldn't have occurred. The people who chose darkness only aided the light in the ascension process that was necessary for us. They were helping us gain the tools and the knowledge necessary to lead the new earth, to lead the new realm. There was a line drawn, and up until that line, the people of darkness were allowed to do their very worst. And essentially, there was no consequence for it because it was aiding in a lesson, it was aiding in growth. So, right up until that line, they were allowed to continue down their path. And then they were given a choice point. Do you want to step over this line and take the consequences that come with it, or do you want to forsake that path? So all they did up until that point was necessary for the growth of the light beings, to usher us into spiritual warfare, to show us how to fight back, to maintain ourselves, all of the things. Up until that point, it was essentially almost like a get out of jail free card, which does seem unfair in the gist of it, but the universe does not look at things like we do. This was necessary for growth. However, the thing about the darkness is a lot of people become consumed by it, and that's what happened to so many of our fallen brothers and sisters. Because these were our people at one point in time before darkness overcame them. You guys remember that Mufasa scene? The Star Wars scene where Anakin is fighting Obi-Wan, and like that's when the Sith eyes really become like apparent. These were our brothers and our sisters, and they fell to darkness. So even at which point when the opportunity was presented to them to forsake the path and kind of accept the get out of jail free card, they still continued down the path and crossed the line. So anything that they did following that was no longer just about learning lessons, it was an act of war. And it's not that if they did accept the clean slate that was being offered to them following that point, that they would have been activated, because that is definitely far from the line of possibility. Again, they were just playing a role. Their role was to usher us into our activations. However, it wouldn't have solidified them, or they wouldn't be in the process of being solidified into the lower realms that they chose. And I really think the interesting thing about the line being drawn was that they had an awareness of it. They There was no point in which they were not aware of that line. When they chose the side that they chose, they knew there was a line, and they still crossed it. And the thing about people getting away with stuff for so long is they think they can get away with it forever. It added to their hubris. They assumed that they were going to get away with it forever. So even when they got up to that line, they had gotten away with so much that they assumed that they were going to continue getting away with it. And it just got to a point where they are so far gone that they refuse to let go. And a major issue with that is they're in the awareness now that what they did was only allowed because it was helping you achieve greatness. And that upsets them even further because they thought they were harming you, but they were helping you make yourself. Because they didn't make you. The things that they did to you didn't make you. They helped you make yourself. They still want to see the destruction of the light beings when that was not in the cards. It was never about the destruction of the light beings. Even in seasons where things appeared one way, it was because it was necessary. But rightfully, the light beings have always been beings of great wealth. What is in the spirit always transfers over to the physical. And when you carry an energetic wealth, especially one that is so vast, it is impossible for it not to carry over. There were roadblocks in place, especially because, again, most of these people were our brothers and sisters. They were the ones closest to us. They were the ones who knew all of our secrets, who we confided in, who we trusted. And it would be irresponsible to bestow upon us the gifts of the realm that are rightfully ours, yes, but we would have squandered them, and those people around us with the darkness in their hearts and their souls would have helped squander it. They would have stolen it. They would have done all they could to make sure that we didn't get to keep it. So there were seasons, likely years, in which our true wealth was hidden away, locked away behind a wall. And not only could we not see it despite knowing it, but nobody else could see it. And it was a test of faith on our part and a test of character on anyone who encountered us, which is also aiding in the sorting of density that is taking place. The workers of iniquity who have chosen to cross the line and continue the path down to no man's land, which I've been talking about no man's land for a little bit, but someone that I follow had posted that no man's land actually deals with sirens and the ocean. Something I'm talking about is being drowned by a dam. Dealing with no man's land. Mention that this is not the only time that a portal is open for the new earth. This is just one of the first waves where enough people have reached like this critical mass in ascension to where it could be opened because it is all energetic. And it certainly won't be the last. However, this biphase activation was meant to usher in the new earth leaders. And when I'm talking about this biphase activation, anyone who got back in 2019, you did not get activated. That was a blocker for this activation. So if you did receive that, you 100% were not a part of this phase 1 and the upcoming phase 2 activation. And that's not to say that you're locked out of New Earth or anything. It's just in specific, this activation you are locked out of. And that was their intention. That was their goal. So people will be existing in different realms while occupying the same place. And that's essentially what the new earth is. We could be in the same room, but we're in vastly different realities. People who decided to choose the path to no man's land will exist in darkness for quite a long time. It will be cycles upon cycles before they see the light again. And that is what they have chosen. Solidified in the lower timelines, and then once the metaphorical dam bursts, they will sink so far under that there is no light, there is no land, there is no help. They're just adrift in a vast dark sea. No man's land, which they chose. And the thing about them being put into like a water prison per se. It's not like they're just trapped under rubble. No, they are experiencing continuous death cycles where they wake, they drown, they die, and they wake again, they drown, die, over and over again until they accumulate enough to take them out of the red. So these are continuous death cycles that these people are going to experience, and not death in a physical sense, but it's going to be spiritual and energetic that they experience this. What's happening when something is dead is nothing grows, nothing changes, nothing moves, nothing flows. And they will take back all that is theirs and experience the full weight of it. It's like being held deep under, and they are so far under this water. There is no land beneath their feet. They're just continuously sinking, drowning, and experiencing it over and over and over again with no light. So, when I was originally getting this message about the seconds to midnight, I was under the assumption that they did this because they wanted to wait until the very last moment to make amendments. That's not the case. They actually waited until the very last moment because they didn't get the memo that what they did wasn't working until the very last seconds. So even in their attempts at amendments, it is not in the right place. It is akin to putting duct tape over a large crack in a dam, just slapping a piece of used duct tape on the dam and saying, we're good. They're not good. And it's likely because they tried to initiate an energetic dump over the last eclipse, over that last moon. They tried to initiate, which is what the new moons are for, they tried to initiate a density dump, an energy distortion that failed. And because of the rapidization, I don't think that's a word, the rapid and swift movement that's occurring right now, they got that back so quickly with added interest. So they're in a world of trouble, unfortunately. To change their fates at this very last moment is they still don't want to let go of what does not belong to them. Thinking that they have the option to continue holding on to who and what is not theirs to hold. To the light beings for dear life, because in some ways they still have access to us. So they are clinging to us for dear life to keep trying to pull us under, because it's no longer them above us and pushing us down. By now it's them nipping at our ankles and trying to pull us down as we are floating up. They can't come with us. They're too heavy. There's too much density stacked upon them, and they have been sorted. And they're in the process of being solidified, as are we in our proper densities. There's still a sorting. There's definitely time for people to sink even lower. I think for the people who were pushed under and stepped on and left out for these last few seasons, they have accumulated enough lightness through their lessons to not have to worry about being pushed down or pulled down or shoved down. Not to say that it can't happen, but 9 times out of 10, you are just so light. It would take a lot of density to push you back down under. As a hindrance to the rightful owners of whatever they have taken, whatever they have stolen, whatever they have hindered or hid, whatever they have accumulated off the backs of the people that they stepped on, they are trying to hold on to them. Not just their resources, not just the materials that these people are rightfully owed and belongs to them, but the people itself. Because it's almost like you cannot enjoy this thing if I don't get to come with you. But they all but ensured they couldn't come with you because they chose the opposite side of you. They have kept the light being stuck and trapped for cycles, for years. And it has been a hindrance to the earth, to the realm itself. Because again, the things that play out in the spiritual are supposed to play out in the physical. These things have already been initiated in the spirit very long ago. And because of all of the road blockages and everything else they've done in the physical, not to mention the stuff that they have also done in the spiritual, which was a wicked violation, they have held us back. But the thing about them holding us back is there's always a fix for, there's always a correction that will take place on nature's behalf. And the spirit is nature. Nature is the spirit. So they're thinking that they're holding us back. And they were. But it's almost like spirit attached us to a slingshot. So the further that we were pushed back, the tighter that rubber band got. And it's not one that breaks. We're getting to that point where we're going to be forcefully released from their grip, because I don't think these people are going to willingly let us go, because they know what comes for them the moment we're gone. They're going to be forced to let us go. And the moment they release the little grip where their fingers are pried off, we're out of there. About the little amendments that they're trying to make, they're attempting to fix things that they ensured broke. So they broke the things on purpose so that they could laugh, they could mock, they could have their aha moment. But now they're trying to fix them and think that that's an amendment. You're still in the red. If you fix something you broke, it doesn't cancel out. So these people are now at the point where their wrists have been bound, their ankles have been bound, and their eyes have been covered. And it's almost like they're being forced off the plank. It's becoming something that not only they know, but everyone else around them can see about them. That's the beginning, and it hasn't even really begun. So the end is nowhere in sight for them. They are beginning to see the effects of being bound in the spiritual, and it is manifesting in their material reality very quickly, rapidly. They can't make money. It's being guzzled the moment they get it. They can't keep money. They can't maintain friendships. Nobody wants to be their friends. And the thing about this is they have bad spirits. So people come into contact with them and they can't maintain the facade of whatever they were pretending to be for so long, because people can feel it. People are not per se spiritual. They feel it. They know it. They recognize it. It's I just get a bad vibe from this guy. People who aren't spiritual are feeling this way about the people they're coming into contact with, the people who have crossed that line. They're recognizing that these people operate in bad faith, even if they don't have a recognition of what bad faith is. Their character is speaking for them. Their dirty spirit is showing up through their character. So it is genuinely a feeling of, this guy rubs me the wrong way, I'm gonna stay away from him. They're losing opportunities before the opportunities can begin. And to make matters worse, they can't even return to past opportunities and past things that they had going on, because they don't exist anymore for them. So they are trapped in this perpetual cycle of lack in all arenas of their life, just as they have done unto others. But it's 10 times worse because they don't have spirit backing them through it. So they have no faith. And they have no wisdom. They have no sight. They have no resources. They have no allies. Everything that they sought to attain, everything that they thought they would keep, it's all vanishing before their very eyes. What they've hoarded is disappearing. It's vanishing. All that they've worked for is gone. So they believe that the solution to this problem is latching tighter and making small amendments, and that's not working for them either. And the thing about it is, when this dam bursts, metaphorical dam bursts, and it washes over them, they're already in the dark again because their sight has been bound. So when this dam bursts, when the waves come in, they're going to be pushed so much farther under, and they won't have a recognition of it because they're already so far under. Dark, cold, and lonely. And it is such a cold that it almost burns like fire when the cold becomes so cold that it feels like blue fire.